All right, all right. Welcome to another, well, actually, not another, a very special episode of Bid Nerds. My name is JP. We've got Michael Deeb over there, and down below us, we've got a special guest. Look at this, Matt Drobny. He is hanging out with us from where? Where are you, Matt?
Cabo, Cabo San Lucas.
Oh my gosh! So I'm in Las Vegas. Michael Deeb over there is in the Bay, and so we got people all over the world coming to you to give you this special episode of the Bid Nerds. Today, usually on Bid Nerds, what we do is Michael and I will give you our top 5 picks of the day of cars that are available on Cars and Bids and Bring a Trailer. But this special edition is going to come out. It's actually coming out Wednesday night, just before Thanksgiving. So this is kind of our Thanksgiving holiday special. And we thought we'd have a conversation about, well, what would you call it, Matt? The ethics of buying a car and selling a car in Cars and Bids?
Yeah, just the ethics of the online car sales transaction process. Not very sexy, but
yeah. Well, yeah, but it's kind of a fun story. Okay, so just so the audience knows, the way Matt and I met was I sold a car on Cars and Bids, and Matt was the buyer. And that's one of the things that really attracted me to Cars and Bids is how cool everyone I've interacted with has been since the first interaction with Cars and Bids. So Matt and I have become friends. Michael, Deeb, you guys didn't get a chance to meet at AutoFest. I was hoping you guys would meet at AutoFest, but it didn't happen this year.
No, I missed it. And Matt, thank you for joining us tonight, all the way from Mexico on holiday with your family. JP told me the story that you had after buying JP's Chrysler LeBaron, the LeBron. We've come to know and kind of followed your auction listing pretty closely when you went to sell recently on Cars and Bids your 2004 BMW 545 out of Los Angeles, California. The car sold at auction at Hammer for $13,045, and then it was your job at that point then to collect payment and deliver the car. And by deliver, I mean hand over to the prospective buyer of the car. Why don't you tell our audience what happened from there?
Okay, so as soon as the auction closed, I got the email with the buyer's contact information, and I gave him a call, and he was super great on the phone, easy to talk to. Polite, all the things. I thought this is going to be brilliant, just like my last my last 2 Cars and Bids experiences. And he said, I'm going to work out a time to get out there. And then he texted me and said, do you think I should have the car shipped to me, or do you think I should come pick it up and drive it back? And I said that either one's fine with me. I have the ability to meet shippers as well as meeting you. It's just about the value of your time. Are you going to make more money being at home, or you want to spend the time, having a fun road trip with this new car? And he decided to come, and he flew in from Colorado into Los Angeles and came to my home in Encino, and was really polite, friendly. Hey, how's it going? All the great things. And looks at the car and says, this car's been in an accident. And it was shocking. I have full disclosure to everything. I know no accident. I could tell nothing. And his complaint was, in his opinion, that the rear bumper had been repainted. And
okay,
to clarify, just the rear bumper, not any of the sheet metal.
Correct.
Okay.
And this car, from a history point of view, tell us about the history of this car. How did this car come into your ownership?
So this car was purchased new by my friend's father, my grandmother, as a gift for her father in 2004. Mm-hmm. So he received the car new off the lot at that time. And I first rode in it when I was 14 in the back seat, and he drove me to where I was going with his daughter, who I was sexually involved with. And
The margaritas.
So
are working.
you are very familiar with at least the backseat of this car.
So you admit it. No further questions. Your witness, JP.
So, and at the time, I thought it has a manual transmission. It was the brand new model of the 5 Series with the V8. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I still think it's super cool.
It is a cool car.
And that was the last time I rode in it. The father, the owner of the vehicle, passed away tragically subsequently thereafter.
Yeah.
And the car spent most of the next, 15 years in the garage.
Yeah.
And it was piled, there were boxes on top of it. It was just basically never used again.
All right.
And
hence the low miles. 23,000 miles at sale.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Needed rear suspension.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so eventually, a lot of people had tried to get the car, friends and family members, and said, we'll buy it off you, we'll take it. But the owner, now the wife, was emotionally attached to it because her dead dad gave it to her dead husband. And eventually, into 2020, she agreed to let me take it. And I attempted to pay her for it, and she said no. So that's how I got it.
Wow. So it was a gift.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So, all right. To this. So now the buyer has shown up. Now is he by himself? Tell me about what's going on there.
Yeah. How did he? What was it? What was the dialogue like from him as he's leaning over, presumably the back of your car, and turns to you and say he thinks there's been a problem?
He was cordial, polite, friendly, with a smile. But then the words that came out of his mouth accused me of falsifying information and deceiving the auction house.
Wow.
Which I have no knowledge that the vehicle's ever been in any accident, and neither does the only living people that would know. No one thinks that it has been.
Yeah.
And
did he say that? I mean, did he what do you recall what he actually said to you?
yeah, he said, because you acquired the vehicle from a family friend, you must have known that this has been in an accident. Just the auction house to us.
And he's saying this with a straight face and a smile. And how do you react to that?
I told him I had no knowledge of it. Here's the Carfax. I know as much as you do. I disclosed everything, in full authenticity as much as I could. I took pictures of every little dent and scratch. Yeah. And I didn't, I did the right thing.
You're acting in good faith. That's the bottom line. You are acting in good faith.
Matt, share one little story. Jay says that this guy asked to take the car on a test drive, and did he go to a body shop or something? What happened there?
Correct. He said, well, I'm not going to be able to buy the vehicle if I can't drive it. I said, I don't understand why we're doing a test drive now. The vehicle's been sold.
Yeah.
And he said, well, this vehicle's been in an accident. You didn't disclose it. I need to see if it drives okay. And looking back on it, I probably should have said no. Because what if he had left my house and then gotten in an accident?
Right.
Then what? But he didn't.
Your insurance still covers you, and that's the whole point of that. So, anyways, what happened from there?
So he drove it on the highway, and he came back, and he said it drives great. And I said, okay, great. Let's complete the transaction. I have a work meeting to go to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he said, no, I'm still not comfortable. Can I take it to a body shop? And I said, I don't know of anyone in the area, but I know there's a street with like 8 of them. So just go down that street and go to anyone you want, see what they say.
You are being unbelievably forgiving and accommodating by my, I need to add here.
Yeah. Keep going.
I realize in retrospect, I was completely overextending the kindness there.
Right.
But at the time, I was like, I know it's fine. Like, just go take it and have it proved to yourself.
Sure.
So he took it there, and the body shop guy said, I can't tell you if this car has been repainted or not. I would have to take the parts off, look at the inside of the bumper. I can't say anything. I can't say one way or the other way.
And that's
so
significant.
He came back.
That's significant because body shop guys can look at a piece that's been repainted, and they can tell you from about 8 feet away if the car has been repainted or not. So if he's leaning over and looking at the car until your the buyer of the car, he can't tell for certain. That means if its lower piece was repainted, it was repainted to a very, very high standard. Go on.
Right. So he came back and he still wasn't comfortable completing the transaction.
Jesus.
So I told him, I have to leave. I'm going to be on for 4 hours in a work meeting far away. My girlfriend's going to be here. You can complete the transaction with her. I've signed the title and the paperwork. But I'm gone till 4:30. At the time, It was like 12:30.
Now, hold on a second, Matt. Hold on. I want to clarify a couple other things too here. So above and beyond your being unbelievably accommodating and being super polite, and I know you, so I can see, I can just envision this whole thing. You don't live in a 1-bedroom, shithole apartment in Reseda. You have a really nice place. What this guy is implying somehow that you're some kind of like bottom feeding car flipper, and he's. I mean, how are you staying calm through this?
I don't get riled up by that much. Yeah, I mean, I hadn't even realized how angry I should have been until my girlfriend told me that this guy's a total.
You can say it, a tool.
Yeah, a complete tool. And then I got in my car and I drove to my meeting. On the way, I called JP to talk to him about the story. Yeah. And then
thank you, by the way, because it was
Mike gave me a call.
That's me.
And Mike D. And we discussed all the options of how I should handle it.
So I think the thing that was probably most prudent at that point, or at least I'm really poor at advice, but the one thing I thought that was the most important was that you reach out to Cars and Bids immediately and tell them what's up. And you did that. And what was did they respond quickly? Did they get back to you? Did they say anything? What happened then?
Cars and Bids responded within 2 hours and said, we will reach out to the buyer and inform him that it's his responsibility to complete the sale.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
There's no more.
Yeah.
the sale's closed.
You bid. You won the bid. You buy the car.
Right.
Yeah. Did he say? Did they strip him of any of his privileges of being, able to bid on future cars?
Well, hold on, Mike. Let's finish the story before we get to really kind of the ramifications down the road. I want to hear. So at this point, you're still out on your lunch break, or not lunch break. You're on your business meeting. Your girlfriend does not complete the transaction while you're gone. What happens next?
He returns from a very long lunch my home at about 3:00, meets my girlfriend, and my girlfriend says, would you like to complete this transaction? And he said, no, I really want to wait for Matthew. So I call him and I say, hey, I'm still about an hour and a half away. Hey, if you want to wait, you can, but there's no purpose in waiting for me. I've done. There's no reason.
Well, there is one reason, I think, in his head.
And he's like,
we lost you there for a second, Matt. I think there was a reason for him to wait, and what was that reason, do you think?
He was going to attempt to negotiate down the sale price.
No. Come on.
And he was too...
Come on, man.
He's chicken shit enough to do it in the first place, and now he's going to try to... wow. So did he? What happened?
Offer? What did Yeah.
Right. So I met him when I got home and I came out and he said, look, I really love the car. I want the car, but this accident wasn't disclosed. Meanwhile, I'm not a sophisticated bodywork guy. I don't know a lot about paint and repairs and stuff, but I looked at it as closely as I could and I saw nothing.
Of course.
I couldn't see it, but maybe he knows more than me. He says, I still really want the car. I love the car. I love the color. But about $1,000 less. And I said, oh my God. I said no. Like JP reminded me when I talked to him after that it would be completely unethical to the other bidders who would have happily purchased that car at $1,245.
Yeah.
But then he agreed to purchase the car, but he asked me to rewrite the bill of sale not to include the price, presumably for tax purposes.
Yeah.
Shady.
And I told him, fine. If that was going to get the deal done, I'll give him a bill.
If that was going to get him out of your driveway, I assume at that point, you're like, I don't need this person in my life. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I mean, and that's why I think we wanted to have you on here when Mike and I talked about this. It just brought up all these like ethical issues. It's like, yeah, okay. I mean, you show up, you look at a car. If it's genuinely not what as it was represented, and you can prove it. It's like if there's a picture of the car and it doesn't have a dent in the door, and you show up and it has a dent in the door. I think that's a pretty straightforward case of, all right, the car was misrepresented. You can go to Cars and Bid and say, how do we resolve this issue? But in this situation, there's no way that he can prove that the rear bumper was repainted. You are absolutely disputing it. He went to an independent person that couldn't back his claim. And regardless of that, even if the bumper had been repainted, that was something that you were acting in good faith. You didn't know. And the person had every opportunity to ask you during the auction, has any part of this car, I want to have it pre-purchase inspection. So the people who are next in line that are bidding, I think this is interesting, because if I'm bidding on a car, or if I'm bidding against someone, am I bidding to buy the car, or am I bidding for an opportunity to buy the car?
Right.
Yeah,
that's exactly right. And I want to assert, I just want to piggyback on what John is saying. This is a 16, 17-year-old BMW car. And there's two reasons why the front and rear valance, the lower bumpers on these cars, are made of plastic. One, it's economical. These are meant to get scratched up when they're parked, and they're less expensive to repair if they're plastic. You can replace the plastic cheaper than you can repair the metal. And then two, because the plastic's lighter, it centralizes the mass. So it's performance and financial incentive reasons for BMW to make those out of plastic. It's entirely possible that bumper was repainted in Germany, on the boat during transport, at the port of entry, by the carrier who brought the car to the dealership, and on the dealership's lot before your family friends even purchased the car. What I'm trying to say is that the front and rear bumpers on these cars don't count. They get repainted all the time, and that's part of the ownership experience of one of these cars, especially when you're buying it used. But even if you're buying it new, you're expected to take the car, even if the bumper's been repainted. It's not considered a big deal. For this guy to make it a big deal suggests to JP and I that he was trying to take advantage of you. And that's why we felt, compelled to invite you on and tell your story, because this is bullshit.
Yeah. Well, the story gets a little better than that.
Okay. Keep going.
So I went inside to print out new bill of sale, and he came back and then asked for $500 off.
How much was an airplane? Where was he from? Him and his son. He was there with his son, right? His
Colorado.
adult son.
Yeah, adult son.
On a one-way trip, on a one-way ticket, right?
Yep.
Thanksgiving week.
Jeez.
In LA, where half the place is shut down.
Yeah.
And what happened is he actually didn't buy the car. Is that correct?
No, I told him that, I was going to sue him in California court, because the auction house and seller are both in California. And that he was going to have to prove that I knew about it and didn't disclose it.
Right.
Yeah, not possible.
Yeah.
At that point,
and if it had even been done in the first place, I mean, we still don't think, none of us believe that thing has been repainted.
No.
And yeah, oh man. So basically you told him to pound sand. I love it.
Yeah. At that point, he opened his backpack and retrieved the full amount of money in cash. And then he just went back to his friendly self, showing me pictures of his kids and his other cars and stuff. I was just like, seriously, you're gonna spend another 15 minutes chatting me up now?
Yeah.
We could have been buddies, but you kind of screwed that up right from the get-go. Yeah.
Oh,
wow.
Matt, the guy did deliver. Then he drove it back to Colorado.
They did.
Okay. All right. Amazing.
And
Absolutely
we are
amazing.
not, for the record, we are not saying who this person's name is. Not like you couldn't maybe figure it out on Cars and Bids. But now this goes to the question that you asked earlier, Michael Deep. If I'm bidding on a car, you know, and I see the person that I'm bidding against, if it's this I don't want to bid against this person, because the question I'm asking is, and I think Cars and Bids and Bring a Trailer are very clear about this. If you are the winning bid, you are expected to buy the car. You are not bidding for an opportunity to be the first person, the right of first refusal. You are bidding to be the owner of the car, come what may. If you raise your little hand up at Barrett Jackson or some art house at an auction and you bid, you're buying it. So I don't see how this is any different.
Yeah. It's like a fiduciary duty, right? You're meant to fulfill. And the auction site is really an online company that is connecting a committed buyer to a committed seller who's going to deliver the product and the title as it's described in the listing. And that's what these sites are about. They don't have a dealer license, but they expect you to perform. Otherwise, you're ruining the reputation of their company.
Yeah, my lawyer advised me that if it didn't go through, that this would be a straight breach of contract. There's no argument here. Cars and Bids is very clear. I'm assuming Bring a Trailer is also very clear. You're the buyer.
But Bring a Trailer probably has better lawyers. You might get something out of Cars and Bids. I doubt you'll get anything out of Bring a Trailer, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
I can see the grizzled used car sales manager from 1975. Did you sign this line? You're an owner. You own this car.
That's right.
Well, all right. So, okay. Well, and that's great. I didn't actually know that you actually consulted your lawyer. I wonder how you would complete that lawsuit. But that must have made him. Yeah, I'm guessing he reached into his wallet and found the extra $500.
It's usually the letter from the lawyer, and it gets settled before it ever is heard. That's the gist of it. The fact that Matt enlisted his lawyer is as California as this sounds, it's the right thing to do.
It would have been a drag. It would have been 6 to 9 months of the car sitting in a storage unit and just spending money, but it would have been worth it at that point.
JP, what's more California about Matt in this moment? The fact that he called his lawyer about a $13,000 failed transaction on an online website, or the fact that he's spending Thanksgiving in Cabo San Lucas with a margarita in his hand?
Let's see that drink, Matt. Let's see it. I heard it clinking before. You need a refill on that.
You guys need to wrap this up, because I got to go back to the bar and get a new one.
Well, all right, guys. So I think the moral of this story is if you bid on the car, you own it. Matt, I don't know if you caught it today. You probably weren't on Cars and Bids. You're on vacation. But I accidentally bought a car, and I have to go a BMW, no less. So I have to go up to Portland and go get it over. I'm going to go get it over the weekend. So
accidentally?
The thing was so it was a 2006 BMW 325 Xi with 60,000 miles on it, with a manual transmission, right? And no one. It was the last hour. It had been an hour, and we were down to 3 minutes. We had actually talked about the car on our show, and so I'm checking back to see if I was right or if Deeb was right, and he's usually more right than I am. And it was 3 minutes to go. I'm like, holy crap! Nobody's bid on this thing in an hour, and it's sitting at this really low price. So I screw it. I'll bid and see if I can get. I'm expecting like that last second, just okay, now it's going to get another 30 to 50%, kind of like your car did. It was went right down to the line, and then also boom. So I'm thinking, all right, I'm going to prime the pump here, and so I bid up $100 more in the last 5 seconds, to the point when I hit bid. Then it brings you to a second prompt to make sure that you bid, because I've sold cars there, but I've never bought one. So it brings you to the second thing, and the timer had already run out. So it's in that little checking mode. So I'm like, oh shit. So I click on it, and I'm waiting for another bid to come up or someone else's bid. And I'm like, oh, JP I own a BMW. Okay.
JP and on the phone laughing through the close of auction going, congratulations. And when he says he bid on it by accident, just go with it, Matt. That's the story he's rehearsing for his wife.
She was sitting right there.
Oh, was she next to you?
She was over my shoulder. She's like, oh, really? I'm like, 3 minutes? Screw it. I'm buying a car.
That's hilarious.
I love Cars and Bids, man. I can't wait to meet the owner. I'm going to show up and be like, I think this whole car's been repainted. I I want half the money off. And then I'm just fucking with you. Go watch Cars and Bids and Bid Nerds. All right, guys. Well, hey, this has been a special episode on Thanksgiving of Bid Nerds. Matt, we really, really, really appreciate you taking a few minutes out of your vacation. Go refill that margarita glass. You deserved it. And thanks for hanging out with us.
Yeah, thank you, Matt, for sharing your story with us and letting us poke fun.
Thank you guys.
I really appreciate it. Yeah, absolutely. And if you ever need advice, listen to us, but don't take it.
Best advice you'll ever hear from either one of us. Hit that subscribe button, find us on all the socials. We're on Instagram, we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook. Share this with your friends. Let people know that we're doing this. We're a brand new page, brand new channel, and we're just starting out, so we're really excited to be doing this for you guys every day of the week. We'll see you again on Friday at 9 in the morning for our top 5 picks of Friday and end of the week wrap up. See you guys. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks,
Matt.
See you.
Bye-bye.